Hello and welcome to Traffic Paradise Radio. Oh, whoops, that music's still playing.
We're just doing the intro all over again.
Stop. Okay. So, yeah, no, I don't know what happened, but for some reason our intro video is not playing. I don't know why. So that's why there was no normal intro video with our logo and everything. Apologies for that, but we're here. So yeah, hello and welcome to Traffic Paradise Radio. I'm Uno, and joining me today is Niamh. Niamh, how are you doing? Did you enjoy the race?
I am doing very good. I did enjoy the race. I watched it with my dad and my little brother. His first Grand Prix ever. The little brother, I mean. And he then sat and watched the IndyCar with me later on in the evening. So that was very cute. It was my dad's second ever one. He watched last year with me as well. So yeah, he seems to, every time he watches it, we seem to get a really interesting race. And he said no to watching any more, unfortunately. I can guarantee that's a lie, though. But I really enjoyed the race. What did you think of it?
Yeah, it's, I mean, at times frustrating, you know, drivers not doing best. It's hard to enjoy a race, but that was a different kind of crazy. Like, so much was happening. There was drama, there was history being made, and obviously, you know, the weather played a massive role in that. So I gotta say, it was one of the most, I think it was the most fun race this year.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of another race. Just so much happening. Reminded me a lot of Brazil last year in a way.
Yeah.
Less, I think Brazil had more drama, to be fair. This one had drama in different ways, but it was still fun and exciting, and it sort of reminds you of like when you have those really boring races that it's just like a procession of cars through like 12 corners, and then the guy who started on pole and led every lap wins, and you're just kind of like, oh, whatever. Like, yeah, we get those races often, but races like this remind you of why the sport is so exciting, because there's the potential for so many interesting things to happen.
Yeah,
so
you
yeah,
need your Monaco 24s so you fully appreciate your Silverstone 25s.
Absolutely. Just quickly heading to the comments. Hello, Willow. And Zeph says, put it up on screen. I feel like I should have enjoyed it more, but Yuki doing so bad, at least his car being terrible anyway, ruined the race for me, sadly, until like the last 5 laps. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. It's not fun when your driver's like struggling. You know, that car's just terrible. I mean, and also like the strategy wasn't great. He had to serve the penalties, and he was slow anyway. So I don't know why they didn't bring him in earlier to change his tires and do something interesting, you know, like experiment. He's already in last place. Like, what do you have to lose? But they just left him out there going slower and slower and slower every lap. And then when he did come in, he was 20 seconds behind everyone, and then had to do like a 30-second pit stop. Like, just and he was the only driver that ended up lapped. Whereas if they had just made him serve that penalty like straight away, none of this would have happened. But anyway, Eliza says, I'm here. Hello, Eliza. Welcome. And oh, look, I have a special friend for you. Oops, he died. Well, we have a special seal friend. Hi. So this is seal friend saying hello to Eliza. So welcome, Eliza. I don't know if Kay is coming, but this is there for them if they want to watch. Oh, no, that's not going to stay there. Okay, maybe down here. Is this good? Can you just chill there? Okay. There, you're going to chill there, and we're going to do the show together, bro. Okay. Yeah. There you
You've
go.
got the head on your shoulder.
So Eliza says seal. Yes, seal, Eliza. Got it. There we go. Okay, so let's get into it. This is okay. No, this is not. This is the information about Oscar. That's what I'm seeing. Okay, so let us begin with our 2025 British Grand Prix reaction at Silverstone last night or yesterday afternoon, depending on, or this morning, depending on where you live in the world. There was a great race to be had. Also, fun races in F2 and F3. I don't think we'll get time to discuss them, but those races are fun. You should be catching them when you get the chance. No F1 Academy, unfortunately, this weekend, but there were the other feeder series, and they were lots of fun. So I highly recommend you give them a watch when you get the chance. They're not on every weekend, but when they are, they're great.
The British F4 was quite entertaining as well because you've got Ollie Behrman's younger brother racing in it. And you also had Ella Lloyd, who's in F1 Academy. She did quite well. And it's a non-championship round, so it doesn't count towards anything. But it was very entertaining.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize I didn't even know it was on. I don't even know how to watch that, but I will try my best to catch the next one.
I think they're just streamed on YouTube.
Okay, I'll definitely give it a watch then next time. Okay, so let's have a look at what happened at the British Grand Prix. So obviously, as everyone knows, the two McLarens took the top two steps at the end of the race, and there was quite a bit of drama about how that came about. That Lando ended up winning the race and Oscar came second. I'm not going to dwell on it too much now because we are going to talk about it a bit later in the show. But yeah, once again, basically like a very dominant weekend from McLaren. Basically, no one can touch them. It is just the two of these guys, Lando and Oscar, fighting it out amongst each other at the front of the pack, and everyone else is just racing for that third spot of the podium. So, like, what were your thoughts on not necessarily Oscar, but McLaren as a whole this weekend?
Yeah, obviously they seemed very fast. I don't think Lando really put a foot wrong at all the entire weekend. Yeah, that was a bit difficult for me to say. I'm not a Lando fan at all, but no, he had a great weekend. Obviously, first home race win. 13th British driver to win at home, which is pretty cool. 25th win for a British driver at home as well. Because I was doing the maths on that in front of my brother, and I was like, oh my god, everyone else has only won one home race, but Lewis Hamilton's won 9. And then he was like, that doesn't add up. And I was like, oh, yeah, never mind. Let's just ignore me. But no, McLaren seemed really strong. Obviously, they had the pace. We were sat there working out where Oscar would come out behind, even with his penalty. And at one point, we were like, well, the absolute lowest he's going to come out is P5. And then he kept going for another few laps, and we were like, oh, well, he's guaranteed to come out in P2 now. Like, that kind of pace is just insane, especially in, like, wet and damp and drying conditions. That's just impressive. Because usually people say that, like, rain equalizes the field, but no. Rain looked to the McLaren and went, yeah, you guys can just drive down the road, away from everyone else.
Yeah. So P3, Nico Hulkenberg, historic race for Nico. We're going to talk more about that a bit later. So for now, I want to move on to Ferrari. So Lewis Hamilton came P4, but Charles Leclerc ended the race in P14. What were your thoughts on that? What went wrong there for Charles?
Charles just seemed to be struggling in general. He pitted at the end of the formation lap, if I'm remembering correctly, and from there it just went completely downhill. Every time I seem to be looking for him specifically to like update one of my friends, it would be like he'd be P5 and I'd be like, oh, that's great. And then I'd look 2 laps later and suddenly he's P19 behind all the cars that have like DNF'd and whatever. And I was like, oh God, something's clearly gone very wrong there. But no, I think it's really interesting that Lewis Hamilton came P4 because obviously he had what was it, a 12-year podium streak or something at Silverstone? Maybe it was something like that. Like 2014 onwards, he's never finished lower than P3. And then this year he finishes P4. And like, I know it's still like a good position to finish in. He's top 5. It's great. But I know how much that would have been like painful because you come so close. But oh well, he did great. And obviously he seemed to be struggling with the car when it was drier. When it was really wet and when it was kind of like dryish, he seemed to be struggling. But when it was like damp, that seemed to be when the car really came alive. I didn't see as much of that with Charles, to be fair, but they weren't really focusing on him on anything at all. They were just sort of like, yeah, he's pretty much dead last. Let's just forget there's another Ferrari in the field.
Yeah. So what I thought was quite interesting is that the top 10 consisted of 8 different teams. Only McLaren and Aston Martin were able to get both their drivers into the points, which is impressive from Aston Martin. And I thought that particularly Lance Stroll had a great race. And again, we will talk about that a little bit later on. But Fernando Alonso seemed to not be having the greatest race, but actually ended up in the points anyway. You know, he wasn't very happy this weekend, I don't think, but he still sort of came away with the points, which, you know, again, it is, while the rain might not be the great equalizer for McLaren, it definitely shows, you know, like Fernando can pull a good race out when he needs to. And I thought he did very well to get into the points. But I think the big shock perhaps was Max Verstappen from where he finished compared to where he started, and at one point was like completely out points. So what are your thoughts on Red Bull this weekend? Because obviously Max finished P5, but Yuki finished P15 and was lapped. Another terrible race for him. So what were your thoughts on Red Bull this weekend?
They were pretty, like, not embarrassing, because I am not a Red Bull fan, so I can't just turn around and say, oh yeah, it was embarrassing for my team to be acting like this. But no, it was pretty embarrassing for them, I think, as an organization, because obviously there was the thing with the safety car where Max went past and he was like awful about that, and then he spun on the restart and it was just like, that's so uncharacteristic. And then yeah, he seemed to be fighting the car, and I didn't think there was anything to the rumors about him going to Mercedes, but I think it would only take another couple of weekends like this and Max is gone. But Yuki, yeah, quali wasn't great for Yuki because obviously he lost power at the end of it. Then in the race, he just kind of disappeared. I do disagree with the penalty that he was given with Ollie Behrman, because from what I've seen, because they did a couple of replays of it, it seems like Ollie went round the outside and Yuki was already there, and that's why he got spun out. And Yuki got the 10-second penalty for it, even though there was nothing he could have done. So, like, I agree that maybe he should have had something, because he did, in fact, like, knock him off the track or whatever and cause him to spin and whatever. But I don't think it should have been 10 seconds. It's also pretty embarrassing that he was the only car lapped. Like, for Red Bull, Max is struggling with the car. Like, everyone has been saying, oh yeah, the car's undrivable, but Max can manage. And then Max is just like, no, this is awful. I want out of it. He's losing his mind over the radio. And Yuki's the only car to get lapped. So,
yeah, it's not great. I'm actually curious. So the race ended for me at, like, it was around 1 o'clock in the morning. So I kind of had my few like rage tweets about how Yuki did, and then I went to bed. So I didn't get all of the I didn't see what happened with Ocon and Behrman, because no further action, because they knocked each other off the track as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it does seem like a bit unfair that
It was a very similar incident.
yeah, no
but...
further action.
Mm-hmm. But like even the commentators on Channel 4, I think it was David Coulthard, who's pretty notorious for not being Yuki's biggest fan, shall we say. I think I remember hearing rants about him before. But he was like, yeah, I don't know why they're investigating that. It seems like there was nothing Tsunoda could have done. And then it came out with a 10-second penalty, and they were like, oh. And then they just mentioned 10-second penalty for Tsunoda and then didn't elaborate on it any further until he had to serve it. And it was like, oh, well, this sucks.
Yeah, I mean, like, so Isaac Hadjar basically took himself and Antonelli out of the race, and he got no further action for what he did. I just feel like, yeah, Yuki definitely got a bit, like, they were a bit too heavy-handed there with his penalty. And that's, like, it's frustrating, you know, because, like, if Isaac gets, you know, they say, oh, like, he couldn't see where he was going, so therefore... But then, like, I could also argue, well, then he should have slowed down if he couldn't see, you know? And, you know, like, there's always, you can always say, oh, but they could have done this instead. And I feel like when it comes to Yuki, like, there was nothing he could have done. He was all the way on the side. Like, there was plenty of room for Behrman to go around. And I think to expect Yuki to just slam on brakes, because that's also dangerous in the rain. You can't just, like, jump on the brakes because there's a guy overtaking you. You might slide, you know, like there's so many things that could happen. So I think just like keeping it steady and going around the corner as you were going to do is fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I do think the penalty was unfair, but yeah, I think the biggest issue though, and I'm going to just bring up Zeph's comment here. Zeph says they messed up so bad with the setup considering rain was predicted. They got lucky it didn't rain in quali. And I think that's it. Max and Yuki's cars were set up for a dry race. And why Red Bull? Like, I mean, a week ago, I predicted that there would be rain at this race, okay? All I had was like the Google weather app. And I went and I searched like Silverstone on Sunday, what's going to happen? And it told me there was a 20% chance of rain, okay? And as the week, as we got closer and closer to the race, that percentage kept on getting higher and higher and higher. Now, I have to believe that Red Bull has access to far greater resources than the Google Weather app, okay? They must have known rain was coming. And so... sure, maybe you want Max to get that pole position so you don't do his setup for rain. Yuki, like he's qualified P12, P11. Maybe you take the gamble and you take him back. You know, yeah, it's not great, but at least it's giving him an opportunity to do something interesting on Sunday. Look at what happened with Nico Hülkenberg. He started the race in 19th, I think it was, and he got on the podium. So it was definitely possible to climb in this race. And when it's a rain race, like where you start doesn't matter unless you're McLaren. You know, everything else doesn't matter. Like so many things can go wrong. As we saw, there were such huge time differences between different cars on different tires. Like there was so much to be done. And it amazes me that Red Bull went for the most conservative, unimaginative, dull strategy call, both on Saturday and on Sunday. And just like, and what did they get for it? A P5 for Max? Like, that's it? That's all you could come up with when the Sauber got on the podium? That's terrible. That's just Like at some point you can't even like be like, oh, Yuki's terrible, Yuki's da da da. No, bro, that whole team is terrible. Like it's so bad. It's so bad. But yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly something.
Okay, so I think notable things that we're gonna talk about.
Oh wait, just really quickly, did you
That I
hear
think
the rumor that Red Bull were running their Monza spec car? They were apparently running the
no.
car that was intended for Monza in Silverstone.
Well, that explains
Which,
Yuki's bad luck. Yuki has terrible luck at Monza. So if they brought the Monza car, he was just gonna get all that bad luck.
yeah.
But maybe that means that he's used up his Monza bad luck.
Yes,
Yuki
he
Tsunoda has raced at Monza 4 years and has only finished the race once. He's only started the race twice. So I can't even say he's raced at Monza 4 years because he didn't even start 2 of those races. He has the worst luck at Monza ever. So
and
just like
it's
that,
not
you're
even
just
like
asking.
it's not even like they raced there in his F2 season either.
Yeah.
So he's
Right.
yeah. I don't know about his F3 season. I'm not too up to date on that, but I know that in 2020, because of COVID and stuff, they definitely didn't go to Monza. They went to a bunch of random tracks all around Europe, but they definitely didn't go to Monza. So basically, Yuki's screwed for at least one more race, unless this was the thing. But yeah, I remember someone had shared a post that said that, and then someone was like, oh, well, maybe this means good things for Monza. And I was like, no. No, that's not how this works.
Okay.
It looks like the seal's like
Yeah.
actually alive. Like you've got a little cat.
Hello. Okay, so before we move on, I just quickly want to say, Willow says the car looked so hard to drive as well. It was awful. And Zeph's added to the earlier comment and says, it's like they looked at the data and went, look, and therefore faster equals better. Disregarding the rain, in their thinking, it's crazy. 100% have to agree
Can
with
you
that.
pull that
But I think
comment up
we've
really
spent
quickly?
enough time raging at Red Bull.
Can you pull the comment
Sure.
up really quickly? Because you're cutting out a lot for me. So.
Okay. I shall read it again. It's like they looked at the data and went low downforce is faster in dry practice, and therefore faster equals better. Disregarding the rain, there's no nuance. In their thinking, it's crazy. I think that's an excellent point. Okay, so one other thing I want to sort of address before we move on. Okay, Haas didn't have a great weekend. As we've already said, Scholl didn't have a great weekend. George Russell, kind of a very bizarre P10, but he made such weird strategy calls throughout the race. So I think he basically said, look, we're gambling this race anyway. If we get a point, we're lucky, kind of thing. So I think it's very hard to judge him for his racecraft or anything because he was just all over the place with strategy. But I think Pierre Gasly did a great job.
Mm-hmm. George Russell came on the radio and at one point and went, "We're brave but not suicidal." And it was like, okay, that's definitely a way to put it. Like, I think it was about their strategy decision to box or something. And he just came over the radio and was like, yes, it's brave, but it's not suicidal. And it was like, okay.
And then he spun like the next lap.
Yeah. It was pretty ironic, to be fair.
Okay, so yeah, absolutely. So I think the only person there that I just want to sort of mention, Alex Albon did a good job in P8, but Pierre Gasly P6 in the Alpine, very good weekend for him, especially considering where his teammate ended up. I thought he did very well indeed. But let's take a look at the drive standings. So things are interesting now. P1 and P2 is separated by just 8 points. So it used to be a lot more than that. So Lando is closing that gap. Verstappen, however, drops further back. He is 61 points adrift. And Russell, because of his bizarre race, actually lost space to Verstappen. But that's sort of like we've been seeing that go on the whole year. I'm not too phased about that. But Hamilton has closed the gap to Leclerc. Interesting one for him. And Antonelli remains in his own weird championship. Albon increased his P8 standings, but Nico Hulkenberg, with his amazing finish, is now up into P9 in the championships. So it doesn't seem like there was much movement for everyone else. I don't know.
Pierre Gasly gained 3 places.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Pierre gained places, but everyone else seems to have stuck where they are. So yeah, those are the standings, and the Constructors' Championship standings are obviously McLaren on like a massive amount of points, 460. Next up is Ferrari on 222, then Mercedes on 210, and Red Bull on 172. Williams with 59 points, Kick Sauber with 41 points. They climbed 3 places in the standings. Amazing work from them. They are effectively the Alpine of the season, going from very bad to very good in a very short amount of time. And Racing Bulls dropping a spot to P7, Aston Martin remaining in P8, Haas dropping down to P9, and Alpine still languishing in 10th place. But let's talk about what we came here to talk about. So it is time for our Paradise and Purgatory candidates of the week. In Purgatory, who you got, Niamh?
I have got the rookies. All of them. Just every single one of them. Because we had, out of all of them, all but one did not finish the race. And Ollie Behrman seemed to be on a mission to go off every single corner and investigate literally every inch of the track and collide with as many people as possible. And it was honestly impressive. Because, like, Franco Colapinto, he stalled in his box or something after the formation lap, so he couldn't even get going. That's unfortunate, but I thought that was kind of weird that they couldn't get it restarted, but then someone said it was a gearbox issue. So, right from the get-go, they've got one rookie not even starting the race. And then there was Gabriel Bortoleto, who, like, had contact and just went absolutely everywhere. And then he tried to drive back with a damaged car, and part of the rear wing came flying off, like went straight up in the air and came down at the side of the track. And my little brother had just walked in at that point and went, "That can't be safe." And I was like, "Yeah, it's not. He's not allowed to do that." And he was like, "Oh, well, why is he doing it then?" And I was like, "I've got no clue what's going on." No clue at all. Yeah, there was an issue with Liam Lawson. God, there were so many incidents, I can't even remember what happened to him. All I know is he ended up, like, in the wall. Isaac Hadjar obviously rear-ended Kimi Antonelli, which, like, I get what you were saying earlier about, oh, if he couldn't see, he should have slowed down. But I feel like the FIA and race control should have been looking at those onboards and going, no, they can't see the cars in front. That's not safe. Because it genuinely just looked like Kimi came out of nowhere. And again, what you were saying about you can't just brake because then someone behind you might hit you. All of that is so true. And I do think the race should have been red flagged or something at that point, because it was scary to watch. Because obviously,
I just feel like they could have done like 2 more laps behind the safety car or something, just it was not, the track wasn't there yet. And yeah, I think it's not necessarily that the rookies were terrible, it's that they came out of this the worst, because their lack of experience made them more prone to be caught out by like the changing conditions on the track. I mean, they're still learning
the car, they're still learning the tires, they're still learning to drive in the wet conditions, because we've only had, Australia, and I think Ollie was again the only one to finish in Australia. So
yeah, Isaac didn't even start the race,
Isaac didn't even start in. So yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
just
Okay.
all the incidents. And then they showed us the damage on Kimmy's car, and it was like there was a bit missing from one side that had gone under the car and was stuck to the other side. And then someone went, "Yeah, that car is going to be so unbalanced and so difficult to drive." Then they were like, "He's doing a great job, though, all things considered." And then the next, like literally 30 seconds later, "Okay, we're retiring the car." Oh well, poor Kimmy. I feel like he was just a passenger in this. I'm not blaming Isaac at all because obviously wet conditions, low visibility, just bad luck. But that crash was pretty scary because we were looking at it and we were like, "Oh my god, what's happened?" And then he didn't seem to get out the car for ages. And like that was so, yeah. It was definitely something. I can't even find the words to describe it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Do you have anything to add, or are we moving on to yours?
I think he felt.
Oh, you're frozen.
Oh, have I lost con?
Yeah.
Oh, and now we back.
We're back. We've got you.
We're back. Okay, cool. Okay, so I just want to add before I move on to my purgatory thing. I also feel like Ollie's little weird decision to like speed into the pit lane, he would have had a much better race if he had kept his quali position, because like he made such a silly mistake on the Saturday. You know, it was just I've never seen that before. I was like, what is he doing? So yeah, that was weird. But
Was this the
I'm going to
red
move
flag
on.
thing?
Sorry.
Was that the red flag infringement? Because he got 4 penalty points for that.
Okay.
So he's getting close to a race ban. And Kevin Magnussen will be the replacement if he gets a race ban. Full circle.
Hilarious. Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking, but anyway, it is what it is. So my purgatory candidate is Oscar Piastri, because we've just spoken about rookies making silly errors, but this guy is a race winner, championship leader. He's got, is this his third year in the sports? I think possibly fourth, maybe third or fourth. I think it's his third. You know, he is young, but he's experienced, and he did such a weird thing pumping those brakes at just as the safety car was like going in, and he effectively destroyed his own race. You know, I mean, I think he was very lucky to get away with a P2. Yeah, so just to get into what actually happened there, Niamh provided me with some lovely info that I'm going to share with you now. So we saw a similar incident earlier on in the year with George Russell and Max Verstappen, where George sort of slammed on the brakes, and he was judged to have not done anything wrong by the stewards. And a lot of people are asking, well, then why did Oscar get penalized so badly? So to put it into perspective, George, when he hit the brakes, he hit 30 psi. That's per square inch, pressure per square inch or something, or force on the brakes. And Oscar did, yeah, it's pressure per square inch or something like that. And Oscar did double that, 60 psi. So Oscar's hard braking behind the safety car was double what George Russell did. And George Russell slowed from 145 kilometers per hour to 82 kilometers per hour. That's a difference of 63 kilometers per hour. Whereas Oscar more than doubled that, from 218 kilometers per hour to 52 kilometers per hour. That's 166 kilometers per hour and 136 meters. So it is a big difference compared to what George did. And I have to agree with the stewards. I think they were right to give him the penalty. Immy wanted me to just mention that she believes that he should have been given a 5-second penalty. I guess I can see the reasoning behind that, but I also think what he did was very dangerous. and people have been given harsher penalties for less. So I think the 10 seconds was probably the right one. I know you are more inclined towards the 5 seconds as well. And, you know, those things are always going to be up for debate. But I think everyone agrees that he deserved a penalty. Well, not everyone, but most people agree that he deserved a penalty for what he did.
He didn't agree that he deserved a penalty. He very much did not, because he was getting his post-race interview with Jenson Button. Jenson was like, yeah, so about that safety car, and Oscar goes, yeah, well, I guess you can't brake behind the safety car anymore, which I thought was very funny. And, like, I get that he was, like, very annoyed, but it was also the same as when he came over the radio and was like, you know what, we should switch places, and then we should race for it. Like, that was just so funny to me. Like, yes.
So I know a lot of people were very angry at that radio. I thought it was brilliant. I thought, yeah, he's like, because he believes he did nothing wrong. And, like, it's very unlike an F1 driver to admit they made a mistake, especially during a race on track where, like, their radio can be heard by everyone. So for him to be like, no, I didn't do anything wrong, I deserve that place back. If you believe that I did nothing wrong, then the right thing for you to do to correct this grave injustice would be to give me back the place. And I think it's very clever. It's slightly manipulative, but it's what he should have done. Like, he took a chance, you know? Like, it was worth a try. Like, you know, he wasn't going to lose anything by asking. And it just shows that he's like,
you'll never know.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with him asking that at all. And I think it just goes to show, like, his mindset, you know? He's like, he wants to win. And he feels like he did nothing wrong. He felt like he was doing nothing. And he had to have a very solid race up to that point. So you can understand his frustration. But yeah, I'm sorry, Oscar. I would not have given you the place back, but I would have admired you for asking. I would have given
I would have been sat there on the pit wall trying to hide my laughter as I go, sorry, can't do that, mate. I would have been sat there giggling.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, it's just not something that anyone's gonna agree to. The Lando Norris. There's no way Lando Norris was gonna go, especially like after Hungary last year. There is not a chance in hell Lando Norris at his home Grand Prix was going to give up a win because Oscar, like, he didn't deserve the penalty. Just not going to happen. So I think that's enough on that topic. But let me just say to all the rookies, Gabriel Bortoleto, Ollie Behrman, Isaac Hadjar, Kimi Antonelli, and the not-so-rookies, but rookies nonetheless, Liam Lawson and Franco Colapinto, and Oscar Piastri, for your crimes, both on and off the track, but in this case, mostly on track, you have been sent to atone for your. May the gods of motorsport have mercy on your souls. I don't know if that cut out or not, but anyway, they're going to hell. Goodbye, guys. Good luck. We'll see you at the next race. But
it genuinely
some
does
happier news. Paradise. Niamh, who have you put in paradise this week?
Who have I put in paradise? Well, the man, the myth, the legend, Nico Hülkenberg. Woo! I was so impressed by his driving. Just in general, P19 to P3, he is the only driver from my research that has been able to do that, which is incredibly impressive. Only driver to do that. Only driver that I found that did something directly comparable. There was two, actually. Kimi Raikkonen won a race from P17, which obviously same amount of positions and stuff. Won a race from P17. And Sebastian Vettel got P3 from a pit lane start in Abu Dhabi in 2012. Like, those are the only two drivers that I found that have done something similar from my research, which is really cool. And also really impressive, because, like, you look at that Sauber car, we got to the second last round of the season last year before they scored any points at all. And they celebrated that like it was a championship win. They had Nico Hulkenberg on the podium and they were chanting Nico, and I genuinely thought they were chanting, "We won, we won, we won." Which, like, I don't have the best hearing, but like I was just like, "Oh yeah, absolutely, you guys won." And I started chanting along with them, and it was my dad looking at me and saying they're chanting his name. That I was like, "Oh, that makes more sense." But yes, many congratulations, Nico Hulkenberg, for your in-class victory. You are the first driver to win a WEC race, to win like Le Mans, before you get your first Formula One podium. That is ridiculous. Go him. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Just
One thing that I thought, one thing that I thought was quite cool was, oh god, the thought has just gone out my head now. I can't remember what I was going to say. That's so awkward. What was I going to say?
Oh yeah, and it was also
So
the
weird.
first podium for the team since Kobayashi in 2012. So Sauber has had a 13-year podium drought. He's obviously never been on the podium since 2009 in single-seaters and 2015 when he won Le Mans. But that's just also the oldest first-time podium sitter. And he missed FP1 to let Paul Aaron have his rookie practice. That's just so cool. Like, doing that with 2 hours of practice and wet conditions and keeping Lewis Hamilton behind. Because there were so many times that Lewis Hamilton was like within 2 seconds, within just over a second. And I was like, oh, he's going to get DRS and he's going to just go and it's going to be boring. And then he kept him away. And then there was a 5-second gap at the end. And I was like, oh, Lewis Hamilton might be able to catch it, but clearly not. Well done, Nico Hulkenberg. Take a bow.
Yeah. I remember what I wanted to say. So the F1 movie, yes, my review is coming soon, I promise. There were issues, but one of the issues I have with the F1 movie is that it's super unrealistic as to what a team can achieve in a short amount of time. This kind of goes against that narrative, in fairness, but I think this is far more compelling a story than what they told in the F1 movie. I don't need Nico or Sauber to win a race. I just want them to achieve something amazing, you know? And that's what they achieved for Nico. And I thought it was great. And I think it's better than what they wrote. So sometimes you don't need to go to the movies, you just need to watch a race. It also reminds me a lot of... Yeah?
You keep speaking. I can add mine once you're done. I know what I was going to say, so.
No, I'm done. I'm good.
Okay. No, I was just thinking about all the new fans that have watched the F1 movie and have decided to tune in for the British Grand Prix. They have been treated to, like, the best race of the year so far, in my opinion. Like, can you imagine if you became a Formula One fan back in, like, May 2024, and then the first race you watch is Monaco 2024? That would have put me off the sport altogether. The first one that I really kept up with was, like, properly kept up with, like, on the F1 app and everything, was COTA 2023. So that was quite an interesting race because I was keeping up to date with it as I was on holiday, and so I didn't see all of it. And then the post-race disqualifications came in, and I was so invested, and everyone online was giving their opinions, and things like that, I feel, cement you as a fan of the sport. Races like this are why we love it so much. And yeah, new F1 fans, you are so lucky to have gotten this race. And just even old F1 fans, we are so lucky to have gotten this race because 239 starts, 0 podiums, and then starting P19, he gets his first ever podium. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, no, it was very cool. Well done to Nico. Well done to Saba. Amazing stuff. There was something I wanted to add, but it's fine. I don't remember what it is. So let's move on. My Paradise candidate of the week is, please, Lance Stroll. So Lance Stroll, I thought, drove a brilliant race. He took a risk on some soft tires while it was pouring with rain, and that risk paid off massively because he also didn't have a great quali, and yet he was able to be hunting down, well, in the running for a podium after all the safety cars. And yeah, he did eventually lose out a couple places. I think 3 places. I think he lost out to Hulk, then Lewis, then Max. But, you know, everyone's tires were doing different things, so I can forgive that. But the fact that he was ever even in the running for a podium is tremendous. People will often hate on Lance Stroll. I don't quite understand why. Yes, he's a Nepo baby, but that doesn't mean he can't drive a car, you know. He clearly is capable.
A lot of the grid is Nepo babies.
And sorry?
A lot of the grid is Nepo babies or comes from some level of... Because, like, Max Verstappen, his dad was Michael Schumacher's teammate. Mick Schumacher, obviously. Kevin Magnussen, his dad used to race in Formula 1, and that's why he got the McLaren seat in his rookie year, because his dad used to race for them. I'm trying to think of other ones specifically, but like Kimi Antonelli's dad.
Everyone in F1 has money backing them, whether it's from a company or a family member or something. Like, you've got backing. And the thing is, that's what the sport requires. You know, it's not
money and connections.
More. It's a lot more. It costs a lot of money to drive an F1 car. And so the chances of, you know, that's why when you look at someone like Esteban Ocon, who really did come from like his parents struggled, you know, and he's one of the few rare stories, you know, he's like the exception to the rule, whereas Lance Stroll is not the exception. He's kind of,
Lance is like the standard.
I think you know, when Hamilton was coming up, it wasn't so much you needed money, you know. Yeah, you did need backing, but there was a different route to get into F1 back then. But now it's kind of a pay to play situation, and it is what it is, and that's the way the sport works. So you can't hold that against Lance, whose dad is just doing everything he can to make his son a great, you know, to make his son a great driver. Like, who wouldn't want their dad to do that for them?
If my dad bought me a race team, absolutely, I am racing. I don't care if I'm 20 seconds off per lap behind my teammate or behind whoever else. I am still racing. Like, I don't know why people are like, oh, he'll be going to the Aston Martin program in WEC or whatever. No, he's got a guaranteed Formula 1 seat. Why would he leave?
Yeah, unless he wants to. He's not going anywhere. Like, and, you know, power to him. But yeah,
I have a feeling the only reason he's going to leave Formula 1 is because, like, he hurts his wrist again, or the pain gets too bad and he's literally cannot race anymore. Which I hope does not happen.
Yeah, I've been a little bit worried about that, because the fact that he hurt it so long ago and now it came back again and he has to have surgery again, and you know, I feel that might be something that does sort of haunt him throughout his career in F1, that wrist injury. But for now, his wrists are good, and he did good.
Well done, Lance.
Okay, so yeah. So on that note, to Nico Hulkenberg and Lance Stroll for pleasing the gods of motorsport, you are granted entrance into paradise. Please ascend. Okay. Okay, I think we have a bit of a delay. I think we can do about that. So
Yeah.
the only thing left to do is in our last few minutes here is to check who did well and who did terribly in our predictions. So it is time to look back on the Traffic Paradise Radio competition points championship thing. Prediction competition points championship thing. Sorry, the second annual Traffic Paradise Radio prediction competition points championship thing with our predictions recap. So, pole position. Everyone got it wrong. Everyone said Lando, Oscar, or George, and we were all wrong. P3. Everyone got it wrong. Not a chance anyone was predicting Sauber. That just wasn't going to happen. But podium, P2, myself, Immy, and Kira all got that correct. So well done to us. Niamh, you couldn't have been further away from it if you tried.
I think I've said this on here before, but I believe in jinxes really, really badly. So I should just... That's why I don't predict Yuki for anything. Because I believe in jinxes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
clearly.
anyway, Lee had gone for He's also a bad call. Willow and Tay were almost right. Just one spot up and they would have got it. Podium, first place, Uno, Lee, and Lacey all predicted Lando Norris. Kira and Willow went with George. Niamh, you went for Oscar, which, in fairness, if you hadn't done that weird thing behind the car, that was a good call. So you were your head was in the right spot, but the guys in Motorsport said no.
If that hadn't happened, or if they had switched it back, then I think I could have been the only one scoring a point here. But unfortunately, didn't happen. We'll never know.
Yeah,
I had a strong weekend last week.
And yeah, Immy and Tay. Oh, it was a dream, but bless you for believing it. But it was never going to happen. Lewis Hamilton, first place. Not in that Ferrari. I think if he had, in another car, absolutely, but not in that Ferrari. That Ferrari is just
if they disqualified both McLarens and Nico Hulkenberg had just disappeared, then it would have happened. But it would have taken weird circumstances like that for it to happen. So they were nowhere.
But our what predictions? How did we do? Oh my goodness! Just me and Kira got points out. Okay, so I had predicted
I got mine.
That there would be. Hey?
I think I got mine because I said strategy blunders.
Oh yeah. No, you definitely get. Okay, so
hey, I do have a point.
You do have a point, yeah. Immy said, I think double Red Bull points. Lee said both Red Bulls through to Q3. So none of that happened. I'm not quite sure what Tay said, but it's an unhappy Antonelli by the looks of it. So that seems plausible. Lacey's got an unhappy Charles Leclerc. That also seems plausible, but clearly they did not get points. Willow has a happy Oliver Behrman. That didn't happen, surely. Kira said
Oliver
2 or more
points,
DNF.
I think was her prediction.
Yeah. Kira definitely gets her points for double DNF. And I had predicted that someone would have to use intermediate tires. I thought that was a wild card. As I said, I checked the weather a week ago when it still said it was only a 20% chance. And I went, I feel something's going to happen here. The fact that Red Bull couldn't do the same thing surprises me. But anyway, we'll continue moving on.
Come on. Don't you know that the Met Office does not have access to any kind of weather radar that Red Bull can use? Ridiculous.
Okay, so let's have a look at how that affected the leaderboard. Immy maintains her first place, but is getting caught now. She really is the Oscar Piastri of the season. In first place, Immy with 23 points, gained 1 point this weekend, so not bad. Niamh.
I also gained 1, so we need to update that. I'm on 21. So
you're on 21, so you're only 2 points behind. So yeah. You're only 2 points behind Niamh, so that's interesting. Please write a message in the Discord so that Immy is busy traveling at the moment. So either myself or Immy will. Kira picked up 2 points, and I have to say, Kira really should have 0 points because Kira didn't submit any predictions. But the way that we make the predictions, Kira's predictions from last week were kind of just stuck in the slideshow. And I didn't realize until right at the last minute that Kira actually hadn't submitted anything. So I just went with her last week's predictions, and I really asked everyone. So Kira,
maybe we should rescind her points. Then you'll be beating her.
Well, I don't know because I did read them out, so I did make them official. It's my own blunder. I should have, I can't take them back after the fact. So Kira is in 3rd place with 19 points, also very close, and then I'm in 4th place with 18 points. I picked up 3 points this week. I was definitely the biggest winner of the weekend, but Lee and Lacey managed to pick up a single point each, putting them into 5th place, while Willow is in 13th and Tay is languishing down the back of the order in 7th with 11 points. Definitely the Yuki Tsunoda of the season, Tay is. But we love her.
Do you know if Tay did like the wheel again this week? Or were these actual genuine
she did.
predictions? Oh, okay. Tay has given up on predicting properly and is getting a wheel to do the predictions for her. Which is fair enough. She's got nothing to lose.
You spin the wheel, you get his name, and you take the and you put the names into a hat and you pull out, and that's your order for the program, because it's just going to be Oscar and Lando and one other person. Who's the lucky person this week? That's basically what we're doing this season. So anyway, that's the prediction leaderboard. That's where things stand, and that was our reaction to the 2025 British Grand Prix. I think that's all from us. We're almost hitting an hour. I will say I will have my F1 movie review out this week, so look out for that. Other than that, we're not going to have much to say until Hungary. I think it's Hungary or Belgium. I don't know which one comes first.
It's Spa.
Spa. Okay, that's at the end of July. I think it's the 27th of July is the free practice one. It's on the 27th. So on the Monday before, or maybe the Wednesday before, there should be a video out from us. But other than that, we won't be going live anytime soon. We will have a recorded review of the F1 movie coming your way. So look out for that. Make sure you've subscribed if you haven't already. And leave us a like. It does help the video. And comment down below who you thought was the Paradise and the Poetry candidate for you of the race. And did you agree with the decisions, both in terms of not penalizing the horses or the VCOB of Isaac Hajar? And on the other hand, if you agreed with Yuki and Oscar, do you think they were a bit too harsh? With the others, do you think they were too lenient? What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments down below. Oh, someone says that all the time, and I've just ripped that off without even realizing I was doing it. Who says that? There's a YouTuber that says that.
A lot of them.
I mean, I think most YouTubers do. I know, but he's got like a certain cadence. I just mimicked his cadence that he does it in. That's awkward.
Just as long as it's not Mr. Beast, we're fine.
I've never watched an episode of Mr. Beast. I couldn't care less after that. I have zero desires to watch someone recreate the Squid Games. Like, no, thank you.
That's...
Especially a billionaire doing it. Like, bro, you clearly did not understand that show at all.
It just went straight over his head.
Yeah, but anyway, we won't do any... it is what it is.
Political commentary on this channel.
Eat the rich, guys. Eat the rich. Except for Lance Stroll's dad. He's doing great. But, eat the rich. They're terrible people. Okay, and on that note, thank you for tuning in to Paradise Radio. The road out of Silverstone is finally clear, and we long road ahead to Hungary. So enjoy the break. Make sure for those of you living lots of water. It is the peak of summer. It's very hot, especially here in Japan, and it's probably like over 25 degrees in the UK. So they're having a heat wave. Me being very rude. So make sure you keep hydrated, wear your sunscreen so that you don't miss out on the next race in Belgium. But all that's left to say is have a good... Oh, thank you, Niamh. Thank you very much, Niamh.
Thank you.
And to Eliza and everyone who's watching, Willow, Zeph, everyone, bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, forget off and I need to prep things. Okay. Media assets. So let's see if this video is going to play. Okay, let's see.
Bye, Zeph.
I don't get to play any videos. Okay. Okay. I guess not.
Technology hates us.
That's no, it's that they've changed our package and we can't. Basically, we have to pay to play our own videos now. And
Oh.
That's hilarious. Okay. So yeah, it is what it is. Let's see though. Maybe there's something. Okay. Is it playing?
Anything working? No.
No? Oh, there we go. Okay.
Oh. This is a new ending. Oh, we're back.
Did it play? It didn't play anything on my side. Okay. Anyway.
It just played
this is random technical issues.
And then a StreamYard logo. So I don't know what's going on there. StreamYard, please let us play this.
Well, anyway, thank you, Zeph. Bye, Zeph. Okay, I'm gonna try that again, and I'm going to play the music. Bye.
Bye.
Oh no, we're back.